switches on. It's switched on. Great. Good morning, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm honored to be here. Perhaps quickly about myself. I'm Victoria. I currently work in Berlin for the Deutsche Bahn and for a venture capital firm and for MakeSense. And perhaps I'm going to start this little story I'm going to tell you today by kind of telling you a chain of events of how I got here. I always like to see kind of these different steps of fate of how they interlink and how you end up somewhere as opposed to somewhere else. And this starts with the question that the Sensability team actually asked speakers to send like a fun fact about themselves which they can announce before they speak. And my fun fact was that I can speak French with an African accent, which is hilarious if you imagine that small German little girl speaking like an African French. And this is, I learned this in Togo when I worked for a human rights NGO, and really for the first time actually started thinking of how I myself want to make an impact on this world. How do I see that I can use my energy the most efficiently to help other people? So when I lived in Amsterdam, I helped building up a social enterprise focusing on social entrepreneurship and development aid. And that's really how I got into social business. And actually came across MakeSense because they helped us solve a challenge. And now I'm standing here today, being the biggest MakeSense enthusiast in the world. And I'm going to tell you something. Perhaps yesterday you got a lot of talks about general social business as well. I was thinking, should we do that or not? We decided to actually focus on how do you build communities. It's really something that can be very valuable for anyone, not just social entrepreneurs. It can be valuable in your personal life. If you have a normal company, like after all, you've got your product, you've got your service. If you don't have people to follow you, to support your project, well, it's not going to be sustainably lasting to the future. So, MakeSense is an awesome name because you can basically use it in every word. Why do we make sense? I'm going to tell you quickly, the context of how do we manage to prototype communities in an age of increased digitalization. How are we doing this? How do Germans make sense? MakeSense is a global movement, but we're here as MakeSense Germany. And how can you make sense? So, just a brief context, of course, we always have discussions about what is social business. Our definition of social entrepreneurs are individuals with innovative solutions to society's most pressing problems, and we believe that those people can actually create sustainable projects and models to solve those challenges on the long run. Our vision is to help these individual social entrepreneurs with their day-to-day challenges, with really small challenges, but also to help them scale their projects and have the most impact possible. So yeah, you probably all know we kind of live in like two realities at the same time. Like everyone's on their phones, you're sitting at the dinner table with your friends and everyone's just like on their phones. You think like, how can you ever have like real links to people? How can people really care about what's happening in society if like half of it is just virtual, you're not really talking to real people, whatever. There's a lot of negative impact of technologies that we all know. So the question we ask ourselves is, how can you still create like vibrant communities for social good, for a world of social change makers that we all envision in this room, by using these technologies for the better? This MakeSense solution to it is find a challenge, solve it, and celebrate. Pretty easy, sounds great. How do we do this? We spot social entrepreneurs around the world. We reach individuals ready to help them crack their challenges. We solve the challenges, and we celebrate. So how does this work? Wherever you are, you find a project that you find interesting, that you're passionate about, you think, like, hey, I really want to help this social business grow, like build a community, get funding, whatever it might be. You interview them and you register their challenge online on our blog on MakeSense.org. That's how it looks like, and you've got like a line of work. challenges that were collected around the world. Then, what we do through our global network is we reach people who are ready to help them. We call them sense makers. Sense maker can be anyone, it can be you. It's just people who are ready to donate 2 hours of their time in a creativity workshop to help a social entrepreneur solve their challenges. Yeah, so here you can, we're really nerdy, so we've got this avatar faces, you create your own avatar, we've got our stickers as well. And you can see, you know which challenge you want to solve, and you can scroll down and look around, see what's going on in your city. And then we take this whole thing offline. So we gather 15 to 20 people during a hold-up. Also, hold-up, weird name for a workshop related to how we call ourselves. We're gangsters, we're the gang. So our workshops are called hold-ups. And we have a very design thinking-like method, however with a MakeSense twist to it, which really manages to create concrete solutions in the 2 hours workshop. Afterwards, we provide anyone who would like to take up a challenge as well with the tools and the knowledge that they need to do it themselves. Really important, I'm going to come back to that later as well. And of course we celebrate and reach a community. So whatever, in all our activities, no matter how serious the cause, how passionate we are about it, we never forget to take the joy out of it as well, and to really connect with the people that we just met during a workshop or another event. And through these 4 kind of simple steps, in 4 years we managed to mobilize 20,000 people around the world. This is actually not an updated map. So right now we are launching a huge community in West Africa. In Asia, it's growing a lot as well, and Mexico is rolling out more than 1,700 active members, so gangsters, and in more than 100 cities around the world. So you might think, what are these weird workshops? I mean, you just get together and have tons of post-its, and really, is that going to have an impact? Well, from our evaluations, we see that really the social entrepreneurs we work with really value the concrete solutions we create in these workshops. And it doesn't matter if the people who attend the workshop are super knowledgeable with regards to the specific challenge. It's really the power of the crowd and the methodology we're using that enables the crowd to really solve concrete challenges. But also the people who are contributing to that challenge-solving process really value it. And of course, you wouldn't have such a huge community as it is today if there wasn't some kind of magic to it. I really do call it magic. It sounds really spiritual, but it is. People really value this experience. So perhaps to kind of give you these 5 points of how, based on the MakeSense experience, we believe that you can build communities in increased digital environments, and what are kind of the secret recipes. The standard aspect, which you hear of a Google and an Apple CEO would be, never let technology own you, use it as a tool, and MakeSense says use it as a tool for good. Really important, as I said before, take communities offline. So it's a huge power to be able to use the web to really roll out. I mean, we live really in an age where this enables us to really scale projects really fast. However, we still believe that these ties can't be real, they can't be sustainably maintained if they're not also taken offline. So if people stand in front of you and you're feeling the person, you're sharing your passion through body language, and you're having fun together. Another aspect is we're totally open source. So as I said before, we provide all the information that you would need to become a gangster. If you have an idea of a new project, the moment that you have the 4 or 5 principles of MakeSense, of our attitude, embodied, do whatever you want to. You have a cool idea, you say, I want to help this social entrepreneur, but I actually don't like the workshop that much, I'd rather want to organize a concert. whatever it is, you bring it up, and you've got the support of the community to make it happen. Also the flat hierarchies. You arrive in a community, in your local hotspot, and it's about action. If you act, you have something to say. And if you don't act, you're not judged. Like, you can take yourself out for a year, like you don't have to attend regular meetings or whatever. It's completely flat hierarchies. It's also really important, of course, I mean, this is like, there are some people who are just really, really passionate about like helping others, and they won't do anything else in their free time, of like just doing social good. But of course, it's also important to have incentives for people who might not, like, might not be the ones who will want to work in the social sector, who most of us actually have a full-time job at the side. And they know that through our workshops, through our activities, they really get extremely valuable skills of challenge solving. This design thinking approach of really, you know, if you work in a company afterwards, you know how to spot like challenges, you know how to approach them, what are the objectives, what are the limitations, how can I use a team to really get towards a solution. Of course, the global network, like we as MakeSense gangsters, no matter where we go in the world, we always have a place to stay for free. So that's really, really nice. And yeah, you discover your superpowers. Yet again, our gamification language, we believe that everyone does have superpowers, and it's a matter of how you use them and what kind of impact you can have. Yeah, yet again, I'm saying it again, never forget to have fun. So perhaps like a few images of our activities around the world. So we had an impact journalism day together with Spark Notes. You probably know it if you had like English in your Abitur or something. You'd have these notes of like Spark Notes that help you basically know the book that you had to read without reading it, but you just get a little book. And we had a day where 40 leading newspapers around the world featured challenges of social entrepreneurs, which MakeSense afterwards put on their platform and helped them solve their challenges. There is a program right now in France with the French government where François Hollande picked a batch of social enterprises that he wants to support, and with the support of MakeSense, we're actually helping them solve their challenges and scale their projects. There are crazy things happening with Cisco, for example, connecting hundreds of people in Milan and Singapore, and again the students to exchange. And here, of course, with the Cisco technology, BCG supported us organizing a Sense tour of scouting for social innovation, etc. So these are like more scale projects that are going on as well. And getting to the really local activities that we're doing in Berlin. Actually, a fun fact, I don't know if the boys from Retrobrain are still here. Yeah, they are here. On Wednesday, we're organizing a hold-up for them, so a challenge-solving workshop. And I didn't actually know that they're going to be here. I didn't meet them in person before. But now they're here, and we're like, oh yes, it's you. We're organizing a workshop for you on Wednesday in partnership with the Humboldt University in Berlin and Start Berlin, which is also a European network supporting social and normal startups. We're organizing a workshop in the S-Bahn in Berlin. There is an S-Bahn going around the city, and we're actually sitting on the train for 2 hours. Well, they won't like it, but we'll do it. And solving a challenge for a really cool social enterprise that helps homeless people get some money by giving guided tours through their Berlin. We also, as I mentioned before, do cultural events. So there was a dude in Paris who really loved music, and he said, hey, why don't I combine MakeSense with my passion for music and art? So let's found the MKS room, which is a combination of cultural live performances and talks about social business. So we invite 2 social entrepreneurs on a certain topic. We invite an artist who ideally also has a connection to that cause. And for 1 hour, we sit together, discuss, go back and forth with music and social business issues, and record the whole thing and put it online. All that with the idea of making social business accessible to a completely different kind of audience. So people actually come to a conference, not to a conference, exactly not, but to a concert, And you know, they want to hear music, and then they kind of get in touch with that social business idea through actually just wanting to go to a concert. Big thing that we're working on right now in Germany, our colleague Daniel, who can't be here unfortunately, is going to launch the Sense Cube, which is the MakeSense Accelerator program, accompanying startups from idea phase to I'm ready to roll out phase. The Sense Cube is already the second year in Paris, and it's launched in Brussels and in Mexico. Yeah, so that's the big plan for Germany. And the Sense Camp, which is going to happen on the 25th of July, a really super cool social business conference. We call it Unconference, because it's actually a bar camp style where participants arrive and they create their own program of what they feel like doing. So where we meet the global community, the global MakeSense gangsters, or everyone comes to Berlin. We meet social entrepreneurs from Berlin, from around the MakeSense infrastructure, and sense makers like you, for example. So save the date. If we have time later, I can show you the video. I don't know if that would work, but yeah, we'll see, unless you bombard me with questions. Yeah, so how could you become a MakeSense gangster? Of course you can, if you feel like, hey, this is my thing, you can just do it. You can just kickstart a hotspot in your city. Kobe from Amsterdam, who's here, our Dutch representative together with Jennifer, he kickstarted already how many hotspots?
3 in Holland and 1 in Oslo.
Yeah, 3 in Holland and 1 in Oslo. And it's really easy. You drop us a mail, we provide you with the tools, and you go out and do it. Of course, find causes that you care about. Like MakeSense will never tell you, this is important, this is what we're going to work on now. But we say, like, there's something you might be passionate about. If you feel like it, join it. And of course, come to the Sense Camp. And if you want to, you can actually, if you're a social entrepreneur, you can pitch your project at the Sense Camp and get the chance to actually win the spot in the accelerator program that will start the end of the year. Or if you're not a social entrepreneur, or if you are, like for example here, we have got a lot of business students. Business side is often an aspect of social entrepreneurship, which is the weaker part to the social thing, so it's something that we should work on. If you want to share your business expertise at the Sense Camp, feel free to drop us a mail. If you want to organize a workshop or like a focus camp, if you want to, bring in whatever expertise you might have, actually. Yeah, that was my little story about how we are making sense. And if you have any questions, shoot. I'm ready. I've got a backup as well, because I'm actually expecting certain questions to come up. I wonder if they will. We've got a bet. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Vicky, for the dynamic start to the day. I mean, there are a few questions left. Feel free to answer.
To Julian's question, MakeSense started with really, helping small, local social entrepreneurs and really getting them to solve their challenges, and maybe not even in order to scale, but just to be successful in their own ecosystem. However, as it developed throughout the years, we really saw the power of the crowd that is developing in our movement can go much further. So this is how I mentioned the La France Engage project with the French government now. Now we were able to actually take certain social entrepreneurs and help them scale by partnering with other organizations. And this is really how MakeSense tries to position itself as well as kind of a mediator between politics, the private sector and the public sector, and civil society. And we have other examples of, for example, eradicating food waste in France, where a MakeSense member, Caroline, who's really enthusiastic about food waste, helped join together a group of students in a university in France, a social entrepreneur who developed an app to to eradicate food waste in supermarkets, to help consumers take in byproducts that are going towards off date, whatever, and a local, a national authority, so an institution that is responsible for the canteens in loads of universities around the country. She brought them together and they prototyped an app which is called What the Food, they prototyped it over like a hackathon of 3 days or something on the weekend. They're launching the pilot now, and they're going to be able, because they have these institutions, they're going to be able to roll it out across the whole country. And it seems so easy. Whenever I hear it, whenever I tell the story, I'm like, that's how easy it can be. But of course, that's why I also wanted to tell you about this community building. Without community, it's not possible. And luckily, right now, we're at this point where we can say, we've got the community support, now we can really go that one step further and scale MakeSense, but also the social entrepreneurs we help across the world. I hope that answered your question. Whoever Julian is. Just ask another one if you feel like. Okay. How do I try to make sense at Deutsche Bahn? That's an interesting question. I started there as an intern last year, and I just said, okay, wow, this huge machine is rusty as hell. So I just took the initiative and actually just called up basically every department in the Deutsche Bahn, trying to propose them projects. Sometimes it was related to MakeSense, sometimes it was related to other initiatives. I organized a design thinking workshop in the Deutsche Bahn as well, and they were like astonished. So it's interesting to see how you get into this completely different environment, and people don't understand at all what you're all about. They're like, sense making, what, business and social hair. But actually, after I was quite demoralized because it's really difficult in these big companies to get things moving. But now I'm at a point where I got some entry doors, and perhaps you will hear some MakeSense stories in the future with relation to the Deutsche Bahn. Who knows? But so it's all about action, really, and that's also another philosophy where we kind of try to embrace and make sense. Is you feel like doing something, go out there and do it. And you can fail. I mean, you always hear the story, fail fast, etc. But it really is true. And we're all learning as we go along, and we realize so much how every time again, this event didn't work out so well, but you've got the community around you who would never judge what you're doing, but just try it again and again. And this is how after 4 years, 20,000 people, much more than 20,000 people by now know MakeSense and really value it as a community that's contributing to social business development across the world. The most significant change, in the workshop format, you would say. I mean, I could explain the hold-up to you right now. Perhaps that's going a bit too far, but anyway, so we start with the broad quantity over quality brainstorming. We do that super fast, we ask the right questions in order to get completely random ideas out of it. So 80% of the ideas you would get during this phase would be absolute crap, but that's what we think is the most important, to see what's crap in order to develop into something good. We go from the brainstorming phase into the template phase of creating concrete solutions. So there, teams pair up and work on concrete solutions. The difference you might have from the beginning is that we're already beforehand, we've got our challenges online, so people are able to give ideas before the workshop actually starts in real life. So we bring that in to the workshop as well. So that's a kind of, last weekend at the startup camp in Berlin, we solved a challenge for a social enterprise which was related to getting more clicks on their crowdfunding campaign. And our colleague actually developed a crowdsourced inspiration wall. So we rolled it out through our network online. We told them about the challenge and we said, give all the ideas or examples of successful campaigns of how we could crack this challenge. And we had like a huge wall full of inspiration which was ready and set before the workshop actually started, so people could look around and see ideas from all around the world. And here again, we've got the technology coming in, which is really playing at our favor. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to be able to get inspired by such a huge community around the world by solving the challenges. Yeah.
Sorry, Slido was too slow on my phone. I was just wondering if MakeSense, do you have offices or do all people work as volunteers, or how is it organized?
Okay, that's the question I was waiting for. So, how do we start this again? Can you just go on the last slide? Sorry. So we actually, around the MakeSense community, there's a whole ecosystem to also financially support the community. And this is at once something I already mentioned, for example, the Sense Cube, so the accelerator program, but this is also the work as like the consulting for private companies and institutions in innovative design, in building communities within the company and externally with partners, and we all do that always with connection to social business, to our vision, but tailored towards what these players need. And that really helps us to share a profit of these companies and feed it back into the community. But at the same time, the community is powering these social enterprises. Although they're like independent entities, they are of course super inspired by this global network they can always tap into. No matter what kind of challenge you're facing in those businesses, you can tap into the global network. We have the Sense School, which is an academic program with universities for like innovations, like summer schools for a week, or like we gave a workshop at the ECP Business School about business innovation for a day. The MKS room I mentioned, the cultural events, social media squad, which is social media consulting for companies and conferences, and Does that answer your question? Yeah. So we've got an office or like a community space through the Sense Cube in Paris. There's one in Mexico, and we'll hopefully have one soon in Berlin. There's one in Brussels. But generally, it can work really as a hybrid. It can work totally without an office. That's just an awesome opportunity to get together, to bring the community together. But usually, we use the social business infrastructure in the city. We partner with all the other organizations to, host our events there and kind of collaborate on that.
So you basically fund your model through your commercialized parts.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is, of course, it's so magic, because these enterprises, by doing what they're doing, which is like market oriented, they're also helping the community grow at the same time. Do we still have time?
Perhaps one last question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in design thinking, you usually get a lot of ideas and then you prototype stuff, but you still need to implement it. What would be the biggest problem, or what do you usually face when you're trying to implement it?
So the implementation, after the workshop, we asked the community of sense makers that were there who would like to take this solution they created further and create a mini gang, so they would help the social entrepreneur implement the challenge. However, like the workshop itself is firstly directed at creating the challenges, creating the solutions, because often the entrepreneur is so much in their bubble that already the fact of having had this process of seeing the different ideas coming up that they might have never thought of, or they think they thought of it but they never did, going that way because they thought the community wouldn't really like it, that's already the most valuable thing that's happening. Afterwards, with implementation, of course, it's always a big challenge, but we are not part of the implementing process naturally. If the social entrepreneur would approach us with things that we can do, of course, and if we have a mini gang of people that are enthusiastic about this solution, they would help. But really, the first thought of it is having that workshop and inspiring through that.
I think if you have more questions, Vicky will be on campus still for some time, and you can ask her, of course.
Exactly. So you can see our little stickers here. So there's Kobe, there's Jennifer, there's Sarana, and Ismail, who are really, really happy to talk to you if you want to find out more about the Sense Camp, or generally our plans with MakeSense in Germany, feel free to approach us and make some sense with us. Thank you.